palm trees blowing in the breeze, blue water, warm temperatures. You might think you're in the islands. Well, you are. You're on Marco Island, just off the southwest tip of Florida. This island paradise is home to 3 incredible properties. This is the Rookery, a golf course, opened in 1992 but has gone through 3 renovations over the years. The hotel, the JW Marriott Resort on the beach, also went through a renovation and expansion. And Hammock Bay, a gem that had its own renovation. Underlying all of this is the continuing search for excellence that you'll see on this latest episode of The Traveling Golfer.
This lager comes from a place that's been brewing beer for longer than anyone else in America, where men and women have crafted amber gold in the caves below since before refrigeration. It comes from Yuengling, America's oldest brewery, and brings with it all the know-how that doing a thing well for nearly 200 years affords. Yuengling Traditional Lager. Respect. It's earned.
The Rookery at Marco Island, another paradise. Prince of the Paradise right here. He is the director of golf, Scott Lean. You've got a great place to work, Scott.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today. This is a very special place. Obviously, you can't beat the weather.
Yeah. The weather is beautiful, but I'm pretty much caught by the history of this golf course. It's relatively new. 1992, the building boom brought in noted old Florida architect Joe Lee to design. 10 years later, Bob Cupp Jr. comes in and redesigns, and then 11 years later, Peter Jacobsen, Jim Hardy, a third redesign. And it tells me that there is a constant striving to make the place perfect.
Our owners are amazing. You know, we are very fortunate that they're willing to reinvest a lot of money in our facilities. And you know, when in 2013, when Peter Jacobsen and the team came on board to redesign it, that time their thought was, we've got to bring this golf course from great to legendary, and I think we've got to that point right now.
Part of that, I'm sure, was regrassing, especially on the greens. Tell us a little bit about that and what's working best here.
Absolutely. So we were wall-to-wall Bermuda around the golf course, and what we have done is our greens now are TifEagle Bermuda, and our tee boxes, fairways, rough are all Platinum Paspalum now. So green all year round, very lush conditions all the time.
Platinum Paspalum, a salt-resistant grass, but the TifEagle greens mean that it's going to not roll like Bermuda at all. It rolls out. We've
been told that our greens are some of the best that people have played in Florida, and you know, we can get the greens pretty quick when we need them to.
Large, some undulations, and some features around it too that make the experience at the end of the hole even more exciting.
You're not going to have the big turtlebacks in the middle of them. They're going to be fair, but they're going to be a true test. We have a lot of collection areas around the course. It gives you a lot of options. You can chip it, you can putt it, you can use your hybrid, 3-wood, whatever you want to do, and get it up on that green to give you a chance at making that putt.
The style of the golf course itself. Obviously, wind is always a factor. Would you call it sort of a Florida links style?
Yeah, definitely. Not a lot of elevation change on our golf course. A lot of ponds, 15 out of the 18 holes are going to have some sort of water on them.
Well, along with the show, we brought a competition down here, the Freedom Trail Challenge, with a lot of guys playing in a Ryder Cup format. I'm sure that they will definitely contribute to the golf ball sales here in the pro shop.
We welcome it.
Some favorite features of the golf course?
One of the big things that Peter Jacobsen and the team did in the latest redesign was they've really upgraded our bunkers. We went from 84 bunkers down to 44, but we didn't lose any square footage. So now they're more visually appealing. From the tee, the golf course looks amazing with the fairway bunkers, with the fingers popping, the lips of the bunkers popping.
Less bunkers, larger, a little easier to maintain.
Absolutely, and one of the big things, obviously, that he wanted to really do is our clientele is a little older, so he didn't make them the deep, nasty bunkers. It's fair, but still it's there to penalize you if you hit them in there.
Wildlife is another feature of both courses, the Rookery and Hammock Bay. You can see a lot out here.
It's pretty neat. You know, we'll have a lot of resort guests that'll bring their wives that don't play golf just to ride around. Alligators, tons of different birds that you'll see. Obviously, Rookery means bird sanctuary, so we're really, really happy with all the wildlife that we have.
Are there a couple holes that are your favorites on the course?
Yeah, two of my very favorites, actually three. Hole number 7 is a great dogleg right. That second shot is over water. Really, really good approach shot, really tests your second shot. Mid-iron in. Hole 16 is our signature hole, par 3 over water. Bulkhead right in front of the green, which beautiful, beautiful. And then 18 is probably one of the best par 4 finishing holes that I've ever played. When we have our member club championship, it's one that we always like to see what people are going to do because there's water short and left of the hole. So it's a great, great finishing hole.
Finish with a bang, nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Scott, this is the type of golf that people dream about up north all year long when they think about a break in the wintertime.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the Rookery.
Thank you so much.
Exotics fairway woods are legendary in their class for distance dominance, and a new material advantage takes the new EX10 fairways to new heights in design innovation. The EX10 features a re-engineered wraparound cup face design from an advanced Japanese high-strength steel. The cup face is triple forged into shape. This new face design also features variable face technology for massive distance even on off-center impact. The sole speed channel near the face increases the rebound effect on shots struck lower on the face and expands into 4 air channels on the sole for faster club speed from the fairway or the rough. The redesigned slipstream sole is lower to the ground to improve leading edge contact with the turf, reducing shots hit thin. This new thinner forged face saves weight that is shifted to the rear sole in the form of a 10-gram screw. The new, more sloping crown improves aerodynamics and also shifts weight lower in the rear of the sole. The EX10 features 3 premium high-performance stock shaft options that include the Aldila Rogue MAX series, the graphite designed Tour AD50, and Mitsubishi's Basara E series. Exotics EX10, a material advantage.
With this amazing backdrop as his office is Anthony Schmid, Director of Golf at Hammock Bay, right on the gateway to Marco Island. That's a great spot.
Absolute paradise, isn't it?
It really is.
It's beautiful out here today.
So Hammock Bay, designed and then redesigned by Peter Jacobsen and Jim Hardy.
Correct, yeah. So originally the original club here was Marco Shores, and they redid Hammock Bay in 2004. And the biggest part to it was when Peter Jacobsen came out to redesign it was, who are we designing this course for? The biggest thing was, well, for members. And the majority of our membership, the handicaps, falls, as you know, between 20 and 30. And so the playability makes it so much fun for all levels, whether it's women golfers, seniors, or even the scratch golfer.
Peter Jacobsen designed. Did he do any imitations while he was out here?
Peter Jacobsen's the absolute best. If he's not having fun, it must not be a good day, but he's such a gentleman when he's out here.
The redesign had to present Jacobsen and Hardy a little bit of a challenge because they really couldn't change the holes too much. You have so much water out here, so they had to be creative inside the footprint.
They did move quite a bit of dirt. Number 11, for example, is our signature par 3 out here. It's 28 feet above sea level. At one point, believe it or not,
A mountain in Florida.
correct, was the highest point in Collier County. When they redesigned it, kind of gives it a link style feel. You almost feel like you're out in Las Vegas, essentially, where number 10 does finish the furthest point away, but a lot of rolling fairways that kind of cut in and out of the mangroves. And I mean, they did a beautiful job of presenting this masterpiece to the membership.
The beauty word, that's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this course. It really is, no other word for it, really is a beautiful golf course. And you even work it and mesh it in with the natural surroundings.
We're an Autobahn Gold signature sanctuary, so when you get out there, the natural feel flows from number 1 all the way through 18. The birds and the wildlife are incredible. We do have a few different butterfly gardens out on the golf course that we do. Obviously, we have a lot of alligators, home here to Hammock Bay, you know, big alligators.
Being right on the gateway to Marco Island, Gulf of Mexico, wind is always a challenge on both of these courses.
100%.
And then there's the other days where it's beyond a challenge.
Exactly. Pretty much November through April, you could count on a steady 10-mile-an-hour breeze. If you don't have the low ball game, it's a good one to start practicing before playing.
Large greens here at Hammock Bay, just as they are at the reserve. Moderate undulation, enough to keep you interested all the way through.
Absolutely.
Putting's a big part of the game here.
Putting's a huge part. The nice part with the design here is there's not a whole lot of force carry, so you can roll your ball up to many of the greens. In 2015, we renovated all of our greens here from the Paspelm we had, which was a little slower and stickier, to the TifEagle Bermuda. And that was always the biggest complaint, was trying to master the different putting green speeds between the two places. So when you go to the Rookery, you get the same green speeds as when you come to Hammock Bay.
You mentioned one of the holes already, but I'm sure there's a couple others that are your favorites.
Absolutely. Number 13.
Unlucky 13,
Yeah.
Here we go.
It's a short par 4 that kind of creeps back up the hill, the big bunker up on the left-hand side. But the way the bunkers shape that hole, if you get a downwind, it's a hole that you can drive on.
The Rookery finishes with a real bang on number 18, a tough bang. Same type of big finish here, or maybe a little bit gentler. Leave them feeling good about their game.
It's a good one to have a final bet going into. You still get the wind effects where you usually have some strong crosswinds coming in, but coming back in off the flagpole, you now have some better sight lines.
From what I understand, Hammock Bay is predominantly a members club, but guests at the hotel get privileges here. Individual guests that come over, but I gotta imagine at a hotel like that, with their corporate clients, you get some large groups also.
Correct, yeah, and the beautiful thing is with the 2 golf courses that we have on property, it really allows us to still cater to members, but allow us to have these big, large groups from the resort. The neat part, when we redesigned everything, we expanded our event deck. It's beautiful covered, but it gives you still that sense of Florida feel. You know, we've accounted groups of 140 to 160 with outside and inside seating, great prime rib dinner buffets.
We've heard about that. And the best part about it, that's open to anybody. Come on in for a prime rib buffet at the
Absolutely.
Hammock Bay. The beauty of the course is overwhelming. That feeling of relaxation. They say the most important thing in life is to stop and smell the roses, especially on the golf courses. But here, you might want to stop and mingle with the butterflies.
When you're designing a course in windy conditions, especially Florida, any seacoast course, the most important thing you have to really be concerned about is the routing of the course. On the 2 courses that we're playing here, the architects did a fantastic job of really changing direction, which is extremely important. Alistair McKenzie and C.B. McDonald said that unless you have wind, you can't have a golf course. And what he meant by that is every time the wind changes, you're really playing a different type of golf course. The Rookery is a typical Florida course where they had to build up the fairway profiles by digging ponds. So that's pretty penal because on the left and right are always hazards, one of which is a cape hole. And a cape hole is a diagonal hazard that you can cut off as much as you want to cut off, so it's risk reward. The more you cut off, the better angle, the shorter distance, the better sight line you have. But the two courses have great routing, they have great strategic features. Strategic golf really means that you have a hazard associated with every shot, and that if you can successfully negotiate it, you're rewarded with an advantage. But you can also play away from that risk and be able to make an easy par. With a net stroke, you might make a net par. The superintendents did a fantastic job on the maintainability of the golf course. When it comes to the aesthetic, you can even have a bad round, play poorly, but you still can have a very, very enjoyable day. So these golf courses have all the features that you want to have. They're excellent to play, they're fair, they're strategic, and anybody who comes down here is going to have a fantastic time playing these two golf courses.
When you have a property as expansive as the JW Marriott here on Marco Island, you need to bring people in. Nobody does it better than Doug Corbett, Director of Sales. Doug, welcome to the Traveling Golfer. Thanks for having us and all of our friends competing on the Freedom Trail Challenge at this amazing property.
Welcome to paradise. We're thrilled to have you here.
It really is. And it was paradise for quite a while, but you got the strange idea that it wasn't paradise enough. Tiny renovation expansion.
Yeah, some would say.
I can't even get the numbers out. $330 million renovation and expansion.
All the bathrooms needed to be redone, so while we were at it, we just did the rooms all together. So every room has been redone.
How many rooms total on the property?
That brings us up to 810 now, so we're one of the largest beach resorts in the country. And there's a brand new tower. It's got some of the finest meeting space in the country that overlooks the Gulf of Mexico. Exclusive rooms above it with private pool, restaurant, bar, and an entertainment center.
You've got the Gulf of Mexico there with one of the finest beaches in the whole country. I mean, it is beautiful white sand groomed. That needs no renovation. We're
blessed to be the southern tip of the Gulf Coast of Florida. So we're the last inhabited island that you can go. Around the corner, south of our island, is the 10,000 Islands. So you depart right from the beach on a wave runner and go with a guide that's very, very well educated and knowledgeable about the area. They'll go and they'll see bald eagles and manatees and dolphins. And it's one of the most memorable things that people do.
So the pool areas that go out to the beach are absolutely stunning. Gardens, great views, all the amenities.
And pair that with what we call day at the beach, where they might have a meeting in the morning and then they'll go out and have a separate area set up on the beach with chairs and wave runners and music.
And then you sort of fix it up a little bit more with tiki bars.
Yeah.
Sunset is obviously the big activity here on Marco Island.
Yeah, it's nice to see the sun set over the water on the East Coast. So we celebrate it every night. Moves back and forth between Quinn's and Kane. We now have 4 food and beverage operations on the waterfront.
On the beach.
On the beach. There's a total of 13 food and beverage outlets on the property. So there's something for every budget and every palate. So whatever you have in mind in terms of what you want to eat, it's here.
I can smell the steaks already. We are with Gerald Sombright, the chef de cuisine at Ario, the modern American steakhouse here at JW Marriott.
Really nice because you see people starting to cook, you see us starting to prepare things, you can smell the stocks, you can smell the sauces, you can smell the steak. That's really cool when you walk into this restaurant.
Now, every steakhouse has its own little twist. In your case here, it has to do with the aging.
Yeah, so we dry age in-house. Most steakhouses, when you buy a dry aged steak, it caps at about 28 days. So we start our process 1 week longer than that at 35 days. So when you come here, you already have such more depth of tenderness as well as those mushroom and complex flavors that you get from dry aged beef.
A lot of times it also has to do with the oven you cook them in.
Yes.
How hot?
It's about 900 degrees. It's a broiler, so you have flame across the top. So you get really, really, really good char across the top of that crust of that steak.
Let's say somebody is not a steak person. What exactly would you recommend?
Well, one thing that we have become known for is kind of interesting is our octopus. So we take an octopus, we braise it, we char it on a plancha. We pick that up with a fried green tomato, squid ink aioli. It has chimichurri on it as well as pickled radishes and Kewpie mayo. The octopus that's obviously right outside our door at the ocean, and then we put it on a plate in a very, very playful way, something people can remember, just fell in love with in this restaurant.
Your work has been terrific, and it's now recognized nationally thanks to a television show called Top Chef.
I honestly thought there was a little bit more fluff behind it, but it's really very intriguing how much of the real deal it is and what you can make in the time span with the pressure that's put on you. You would never do that to yourself, but it's interesting to see what you can come up with in that environment.
Gerald Sunbright, a man meant for television, whether it's Top Shelf or The Traveling Golfer, he's got a way in front of the camera. After a tough day on the golf course, nothing more relaxing than a little stroll on the beach. Sunsets are an occasion, and everybody takes a deep breath and thanks Mother Nature for all that she brings to us here on Marco Island. We hope you enjoyed this very special show. We invite you all to Southwest Florida and all the great golf. And once again, don't forget the sunsets from this, another great episode of The Traveling Golfer.
Tony Leodora's golf wardrobe, courtesy of Antigua, the leader in modern golf apparel.
Tour Edge is the official equipment sponsor of The Traveling Golfer.